Hi, you're watching Poikilos. Today I'd like to show you an overview of the Minetest player character model. It's sometimes called the character model, and before that it was called the player, but it is a player character in terms of gaming. And I'd like to show you some things because I don't think there is much instruction about it, and the changes to the origin of the model have not resulted in amazing revolutions such as compatibility with Minecraft square skins, which are two-layer skins. And I would like to show you how to begin doing that as I do it for my modern armor repo, and I'll show you the issues involved. Alright, for this I have gotten the Minetest 0.4 series model from Git History, and I'd like to show you some things. On the 0.4 series, it has the origin at the center, and I would like to show you this model just for the purposes of comparing it to the 3D armor model. If I want to show the skin on the model in real time, I have to set it to textured or viewport shading to material view. Set that there, or by pressing Z and choosing material, and then I have to go to the material button. I'm going to use nodes. I have my scene set to cycles, and then I can render this in both real-time and cycles. I change it. First I would have to add a new material, and then I would push plus if it's not present, and then go to new if there's no material here. And then I'm going to change the base color to a texture by going to the diamond button and choosing image texture. You can open a texture, or if you already have one in your scene, choose it from the list and it'll show up here. Now I want to make it compatible with 1.8 skins eventually, so I am from Minecraft 1.8 and above. So those are square skins. I'm going to mostly be calling those square skins, whereas the classic Minecraft and any Minetest skin are rectangular and only take up half of this texture and only have one layer. And the other difference about square textures is that instead of mirroring the right and left limbs, they have the ability to make each one different. So I'm going to show you right now how I'm going to make this model compatible with the square skins. So I'm going to do, I'm going to select the model, go to edit mode, such as by pressing tab or choosing it here, and then hit A for select all if it's not already, and then go over here. The model's already unwrapped, so if you were looking for a tutorial on that, you have to unwrap it using a tutorial or something. But I'm going to just be showing you UV editing in this video. So I'm going to go over here to the expand the menu by clicking the little arrow. And this is a UV editor. You would not have this interface if you were in image mode. So if you open any kind of old files, old Blender files, they're going to be made in an earlier version of Blender, and for this you're going to have to probably choose the UV editor. The texture editor won't let you see the UVs. The UVs determine how the texture is wrapped around the model. Since I am selecting all in this view, it shows them all in this view. Now I have to make it so the UVs are going to take up half of this, because you can see they are very stretched, and they are designed for a rectangular 2:1 ratio texture. So I'm going to do A for select all, and I have to set the cursor to be in the corner if I wanted to do it accurately, if I want to scale it accurately. So I would, if this was not open, I would have to push the little arrow and then go to pixel, uncheck pixel coordinates, and then set the cursor to 0, 1. Now it's up here. Now I have to scale toward it. I have to make it so it only takes up half of the square, because this is the UVs and this is only a 1-layer model, and so the UVs of it should only take up half of a 2-layer texture, which is square instead of rectangle. So go to the you have to change the coordinates, or the relative orientation to the 3D cursor. The pivot is what it is. You have to change the pivot to 3D cursor, or in this case 2D cursor, because you're in a texture. Now I go to I hit the S key on the keyboard, just the letter S, and then do 0.5, and then press Y so it only affects Y, and push enter. Now it's beginning to work. If you look over here, you can see that the texture is lined up well, but you see that they're still mirrored. You can see that the right leg is still taking up both limbs. So I gotta go down here. I can select one of these and then hit Control L to select linked, and that will select the entire leg. If you are using a model that does not do that, you would have to go to wireframe mode, because some models will have these polygons as separate meshes within the object, and Control L will not work to select the whole thing. So in that case, you would have to go to wireframe, go here, make sure you select the correct side. If you accidentally selected the other leg, you would know by dragging it, and you would see, oh, that's the other leg. So you just click again until you get the correct leg you want. Then you can hold down Shift and select all the other faces of that leg, like that. But conveniently, this blend file from the Minetest repository's Git history has the parts, each in a whole mesh, so they're not separated into separate messages for each face. So you just would have to hit one of the faces and Control L to select linked. Now if you look here, this is the front, so this is the left leg, and so you'd have to select it, go over here, and now at this point you want to snap to pixels, so that's going to be necessary to get it to line up correctly. Okay, so first thing I would want to do is drag this down here to the left leg. Okay, this skin template is all over the internet, but this is the source for it right here, as they show. This is the credits right here. That is the link, goo.gl/6f capital S, I think, and then ZCR. I'll try that. Yes, it is a capital S. Alright, that goes to this page here. So it was created by Aunt Tony. Now, you have to snap this to pixels, as I said, to make it perfect. But the thing is that this skin is only a sample skin or an instructional skin. This is not a template, So snapping to pixels will not work well. You have to snap to the pixels on a texture that is 64 by 64 rather than huge like this one. So I'm going to reload, I'm going to replace the image rather, and let's go over here. I'm going to just choose it here because all I cared about is snapping. I don't care what is applied to the model, so I can just choose it in this view rather than in the material. I'm going to choose this 64 by 64 texture, and the that texture is also from the internet. It's apparently the one used by Planet Minecraft right here. You can see how it's mapped. You can see that it is a 2-layer texture, so if I remove the clothing layer or the 3D layer, then you can see that that's the character's first layer, and this is the second layer. So that is why it has a 2 after it, because it is layer 2. Notice that all these letters are forwards. Letters and numbers are written forwards and not in any kind of mirror script, because the character model is being converted to a new format anyway here in this video. Now I'm going to try to snap to pixels here so that it'll be exact when I move these left appendages into the new format. Therefore, I go to UV, snap to pixels, and change it from disabled to corner. I want it to snap to the corner so it uses the entire pixel of the corner. And now when I move it, you'll see that it moves chunky like that. That's good. This, remember, will only work well if you're using a low resolution, that is 64 by 64 texture. Or if you're editing the original player model, it would be 64 by 32. And if you were just using a standard Minetest rectangular texture. This is clearly the right arm here and left arm here, so I'm going to move the left arm over to here. So this is mirrored. You can see that it's all mirrored. I'm going to go down here, and if I want to reverse it, I can click on the center of reverse, how I want to reverse it, and then go to snap cursor to selected. Now the cursor is here. So as long as I still have the pivot on 2D cursor, if I scale it, it will reverse it. So I'm going to select all of this. S, X, -1. Now it is flipped. Now it is good over here. It's all forwards. That's good. Now I had moved the leg over to test it, so I will undo that and do it one more time. I'm going to keep hitting Control Z to undo, and then I'm going to go over here, flip it again. S, X, -1. Okay, good. Now we'll do the same thing with the other arm. And it's not actually a flaw in the original model, although there are some flaws in the 3D armor model. So the reason that these are mirrored is that they were previously using the same part of the texture for the left and right appendages. Okay, so if anything else were reversed, that would be a flaw, which is in the 3D armor model. So I'm going to go here and flip this one. So I select the entire left arm. I go down here and then go to UV snap cursor to selected. Select all of this stuff. You can hit Control A since only this part is visible, and just hit A rather, and then SX -1. Now you have converted the model to the format you want, at least on the hat layer and the head and the left appendages. You can tell that the hat layer is working correctly by moving this out of the way. You can see that head is red and head 2 is on this second layer. Alright, so if you select all, you can see that these other layer 2 areas are unused because they're physically not in the model. So that's what I would be doing next if I were to make this compatible with 2-layer skins fully. Currently, this texture or other square textures from Minecraft 1.8 and above can be used with this model the way we have edited it just now. It will work correctly, it just won't have the second layer, and it will be missing some parts, such as if you had a coat or whatever you're using on your second layer, other than the hat, which is already present in Minetest and Minecraft 1.7 and below. Next, I want to show you the 3D armor model, and I have it blown up here. I separated these parts so that I could measure the distance between the parts on a couple different models. So this is a Minecraft 1.8 skin template from Blender. Let's see. It's from blenderartists.org. Alright. So this is a free download from this link, and I can put these links in the description. I got this template so it would guide me as I work, and I was able to extract this texture. If you want to extract a texture that's packed into a blend file, you would do image and then unpack. And then it would say create such and such. Alright, so I already unpacked it before, so it says I can either create a new file for the texture, or I can use the existing one, and it says it's identical because I already did it. Alright. Now I can utilize that in another file. And I would like to show you the 3D armor model with that on it. This is the Minetest 3D armor model. 3D armor character model. So to make it compatible with both the old and the new skins is a little more tricky, because I had to make a separate character, a separate material ID. This 3D armor character already has 3 textures on it, are able to be put on it because it has 3 material IDs. I pushed plus to add a new one and assigned it. So I basically what I did was I grabbed everything that is not a wheeled item nor a shield, and I simply copied it, and I did after I copied it, I changed it to, I selected all of it. So when I moved it, I used exact numbers. So instead of just hitting it and dragging it like that, I just did G for grab, and then I typed in X -20 or something, just so it would move by an exact amount, so that even though it's all over the place, I can later move it back just by typing the right number. If I got it wrong, I just guess until it's exact. So some of these are moved, besides being moved to the right by 20, they are also moved back by 5 or 10 or 20. Alright, so later I could reassemble this once I am done, but they are spread apart so that I can copy them and make the second armor layer, or the second character layer rather, because the 3D armor model already has a second layer. It just doesn't have the layer in between the first character layer and the armor layer. In order to make this model compatible with the existing code, I have to make it the last ID, because the code already uses the first, second, and third ID. You can choose the ID whenever you, the material ID, whenever you assign a texture to a model in a Minetest Lua mod or Erlicht or whatever your 3D engine is. Most engines would probably have that ability. So the point here is I'm going to be copying the layer of that is the body layer, and then I will be adding a second layer between that body layer and the armor layer, and that's the layer in between will be the second layer, such as this guide image calls the jacket and the sleeves and the pant leg. Alright, you do not need to make, if you were making the model compatible, you never need to copy the head, because both Minetest and classic Minecraft always had the ability to have a hat layer. Alright, so there's already a layer 2 for the head, and that's called the hat. Okay, now I have let's see what I got here. This is, I can tell which layer is which, because if I click over here, this goes to the armor. I already assigned that. The armor's a separate template that I made that is available on my repo. If you go to Modern Armor Projects, you can see it right here. 3D Armor Template Rect. Now the armor normally is a rectangle, and that will not need to be changed to make it compatible, the model compatible with square textures, because this is on a separate layer from the, or it's different, totally different material ID from the character. So the 3D armor texture could stay rectangular forever, and all we have to do to make it compatible with Minecraft 1.8, or square skins as I'll call them, is to make the body compatible with square textures. You don't need to make the armor compatible, because it's on a separate ID, and you never have to commingle them, the armor textures with the character textures. They have totally different layout, as you can see. made note of wherever the textures are flipped. Now this is where the model is sort of flawed, as I mentioned earlier, because all these parts that say flipped are mirrored on the right side, but not all of the right side is mirror. It's normally the right side would be the unmirrored side, and none of these should be flipped on the right side, even though they're all mirrored on the left. So because I want to retain compatibility, I'll just leave it that way, and my template will explain which parts are flipped. At least it's consistent. I made this template based on another template. So it looks very similar to one of the skin templates for Minecraft, but it just uses that technique of continuation, and that means that if you look here, you will see that the green line from the top of the boots flows into here. So you know that the front of the boot flows into the top of the boot, so you can make textures that are seamless, and the green flows into the green, and so on. So the other thing that makes this texture really helpful is that the bottom always uses these notches, and the tops always use these cross patterns. Alright, so you know which is top and bottom. Now I'm going to go over here, and we're going to focus back on the skins, or the character, rather than the armor ID. So this one, this model has it all separate objects, or sorry, separate meshes, one for each face, so I cannot do Control L to select everything. You can make it slightly quicker if you go to wireframe mode. Yeah, this is an older Blender file, so I'm just going to right click on this anywhere here and do header flip to top to make it look more like Blender 2.8. Alright, it's default layout. And I'm going to go to wireframe, and I could just select it with a box with the letter B key on the keyboard. That way it's a little quicker than trying to go around and select each side. So whenever you're in wireframe mode in Blender, you can select the back of things as easily as the front. So that's one trick and a useful use for wireframe mode. Now to begin to make this compatible, I have to make this bigger, the second layer bigger than the first layer, but not as big as the armor, because you don't want your sleeves or your other parts like pant legs to show through the armor. You only want them to be higher than the skin or the first character layer. Alright, so if I go here, I can if I select the armor and then select the other, select the character, I can compare. I can see that since I placed these exactly in line on this along the x-axis, they have the same y value. Alright, they're only moved on x. So over here I can see that the y value for this is -3.7. This is -4. That means it's offset by 0.3. So I will make a copy of it that's only 0.15, so I'll go halfway. So I will do I'll shift D for duplicate, then I'll go press the letter Y, then 0.15. And now I need to move it to the next layer, So I will have to choose a low resolution texture as I explained, so it snaps to the correct area. Actually, I can just do open. I don't have to replace the whole texture, or else it might replace it other places in Blender. So I'm just going to go to open. I'll choose my template from Planet Minecraft. And now this is the right arm 2. So I'm going to move it. And I often forget where the snapping feature is. It's in here. You go to UV, snap to pixels, and it's already on corner because I was working on it before. So this is right arm 2, so I need to move it down here. So I select all that. I can just drag to select and move it down. And other thing is, it has to also be offset on every other face, or rather every other axis. Like it has to be increased on the Z and the Y and the X. Alright, so I only moved it forward on the Y so far. So what I would do is I would do that last. I would make them join up. So I'll show you. You go over here, you can see that this is the Z value for the top of the right arm is 13.5, and for the armor it's 13.8. So if I want, it's 0.3. So if I want to go halfway, I do Control D to, or sorry, Shift D to duplicate, then press Z, then 0.15. Now they don't join up, as you can see. Let's first move that down so we don't forget. It's the second layer. Alright. Now we got to make them join up. So easiest way is turn on the snapping and snap to edge, so that I can easily just move it and it snaps to any of these edges. And then you gotta go to edge mode to only move this edge, and then just to hit G and then Y to only move it in Y. And then you can see that the circle snaps on that edge and it's joined up. Now you gotta make this one join up, so select it, so hit G and then Z, and now it's perfect. And you would just keep doing that for every single part of the model, which I will do. Alright, thank you for stopping by.